Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby P. Kinzer,
And I'm Thomas Doty.
and we are the FITT Show, helping our people get their finances in shape. Dope, this is our 96th show, 9-6. That's a
Wow.
lot. We're heading to 100. We really rolling. Want to thank everybody who's been on this journey with us because it's been a wonderful one. Been a lot of information. And if you ever want to catch up on our past shows, you can go out on Facebook Live under the FITT Show, and we have the shows archived by date. And then you can go on YouTube also and find our archive shows there. Want to remind people today is April the 13th, 2023, Thursday. So everybody are sure they're at the right show and not looking at one of our past shows. So, Dope, how are you doing?
Man, I'm recovering. My grandkids were in town and they ran me to death, but miss them already.
Wow, that's what. So, how old are your grandkids?
8 and almost 5.
Wow, that's awesome. I have a grandkid who's almost 9. Yeah,
Cool.
that's good stuff. So, Dope, let's begin this show. By the way, just want to remind individuals that please click on the like button and the heart as many times as you can. That helps us reach more people according to Facebook algorithms. We appreciate that. And also, make sure you call and tell your relatives and friends to get on to the show today, and also for them to be able to go and check out some of our archive shows. So make sure you share this information. Okay, Dope, let's get started with how we always begin our show. Let's get the stock market update for today.
Yeah, and it's not much is going on, even though the stock market had a big day today. It's been up and down. And NASDAQ had a big jump today, but I mean, as you can see for the week, it's not really up that much because it's been going both ways. The Dow is only up about 0.5%, NASDAQ's up 0.7%, and most of the stocks that we follow are pretty flat in comparison to last week. And things are going to continue like this. NASDAQ had a big jump today because they're expecting the interest rate increases to ease, and it's nobody knows what's going to happen. The Fed is saying there's going to be a mild recession. They expect to increase rates again at their May meeting, and they didn't increase them as much as they would have the last time they did it because of all the craziness in the banking industry, and they didn't want to create a bad situation. So they're expecting another increase in May. But things are getting a little bit better. The job report slowed down a little bit, but you're still seeing crazy rents, which is driving things up. And so you got a bunch of up and downs going on right now. So again, it's going to be volatile. So just kind of hang tight. Know that after this is over, things should level out and things should start to improve. But just kind of hang tight during this craziness as we move through 2023. That's how it's going to be for a while.
Well, gold is moving up. It's over 2,000 now. It's at $2,054. And silver is up too from once I once bought it at $16 an ounce. Is now up to approximately $26. So for all those people's into the commodity world, just want to give you an update on that. Now let's go on over to the cryptocurrency market update. The cryptocurrency is really popping, Dope. The market cap, total market cap for cryptocurrency, which is over 9,000 active cryptocurrency, it's reached the 1 trillion mark, 1.3 trillion dollars, up $76 billion. That's about 6%. The overall market. Bitcoin is really popping. It's up $2,371 per Bitcoin. That's up 8%, up from $28,000 to now $30,431. So if you would have got in around like January when it dropped down to $16,000 per Bitcoin, you would be making out pretty good right now. But like we say, it's so speculative. No one can determine what makes it go up, what makes it go down. And be careful if you're in it. Make sure you only invest what you can afford to lose. Ethereum, which is the smart contracts, we track for that. That's the number 2, by the way, cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is still number 1. And Ethereum is up $137 at $2,009. That's up 7%. Tether, which is the stable coins, those are rolling right along. And Dogecoin is, even though it looks like it's even, if you take it over another decimal point, it actually is up about 4%, but staying like at from 8.08, like 1 to something like 0.087. But at those increments, those could be big movements. And then Shiba, the meme coin, as they call it, has not been doing anything. So that's the update on the cryptocurrency market, though.
Okay, if one thing we wanted to go back and talk about was we talked about that Social Security break even. And I tend to think people love numbers like I love numbers. And we were just throwing numbers out. So we decided to do a detailed analysis. So if you wanted to figure out what your break even point, you would be able to do it. Now, our disclaimer on this is we're not recommending you do anything in any particular way. This is an individual decision. I think Bob took his at 62. I took mine at my full retirement age of 66. And it was just because of our own personal situations. But let me try to explain this to you so at least you can have this information with you to help you decide, if you have not already taken your Social Security, when you might want to do it. So, and one other thing is this doesn't include any analysis of what you do with the money you get from Social Security as far as whether you invest it or not or do something with it. This is just looking at the nominal dollars of what you get from Social Security. And the assumption that is in this is if you take we're using an example of a $2,000 Social Security payment that you take out at 62. Now, bear in mind, every year that you delay taking Social Security, your payment goes up by 8%. So, for example, at 62, you would get $2,000. If you decided to wait until 63, you get 8% or 2,160. And you take that 1.08 times each year. If you decided to take it at 66, you'd get $2,720. Okay, so that's 4 years of an 8% increase, which every year you delay, so Security increases your payment by 8%. So in the first example, you could take your money at 62 and get 2,000, or you could take your money at 66 and get 2,720. Okay, the difference in those payments is $720. Okay, if you took it at 62, by the time you turn 66, you would have $96,000 in your pocket. And that's simply $2,000 $2,000 per month payment times the 48 months to get you to 66. So you got $96,000 in your pocket. So now you have to decide what's your break even. Okay, so if you take the 96,000, divide that by 720, that's the difference in payment. That's how many months it will take you to break even, to have the same amount of money. Okay, to say that another way, from 62, for the next 4 years, you're going to get $2,000 a month. But if you decide to wait to 66, you get 2,720. In 133 months, you will break even. That means you will have the same amount of money had you taken it at 62 Or had you waited until 66 and taken the higher amount? So 133 months from that point, that's about 11.1 years. At age 66, that's when you break even. So what that says is
76.
76, I'm sorry. So what that says is 62 times the number of months to get you to 76 is the same as 66, starting at 66 and getting 2,720 to get you to 76. The numbers are the same. Theoretically, that says if you live past 76, you would have been better off waiting. Okay? But obviously, if you die sooner, you got your money in your pocket sooner. You had more money in your pocket. And the way I looked at it personally, I would rather have the money today, thinking I would enjoy it a lot more before I turn 76 than I would after I turn 76. Okay? And take it one step further and say you can take it at 62 and get $2,000, or you can wait until age 70 and you would get a total of $3,701 per month. That's a heavy increase. But again, that's 8 years of getting 8% increases. So I hope you follow me there. So if you took 8%, an 8% increase each year between 62 and 70, you'd get $3,701 per month. That difference is $1,701. You'd have $192,000 in your pocket. Again, that's the 2,000 times the 8 years or 96 months of payments, or $192,000 in your pocket. So how long will it take you to break even? It'll take you 112 months or the age of 79 to break even. Okay? And again, once you hit 79, as any time you are here over 79, theoretically, you would have been better off waiting as far as a total dollar amount. But again, my thinking was, I'd rather have $192,000 in my pocket between, in my case, 66 and 70. In Bob's case, between 62 and 70. I'd rather have my money up front, figuring I'm not going to be doing that much once I turn 79 or 80, but kicking back, drinking mint juleps. That's kind of what I figure I'll be doing. So if you want to do this for yourself, you use this same format. You take what your payment will be at 62, okay? And they'll give you the 66 number, or you can simply calculate it yourself. Just take your 62 payment times 8% for 4 years. Take that, figure out what the dollar difference is, figure out how much you would have in those 4 years at the 62 payment, figure out your break even, and you'll know where you are. And again, we have no personal recommendation for either. It's your own decision of when you get your money. If you look at the actual actuary tables that are used to produce the information for this, it pretty much is a break-even analysis. Not a break-even analysis, but it's an analysis that says everybody's going to get the same amount of money depending on how long you plan to live. Nobody knows how long they plan to live. So you make the decision based on how you feel personally. And Bob, why don't you explain why you took your money early?
Well, let me pull it back up so you can see it much more clear why. So my thought was, this was my thought. Okay, so I'm the one who took it at 62, right? So my break-even point, if I would wait until I was 66, would be, and started taking it, then the break-even would have been, I would have been 76 years old. So I look at it this way. I would ever have all that money, that in-pocket money, $96,000 up front, because a lot of people do, that's what they miss on the calculation. When they look at the amount, if they waited at the 2,720 that they would get at 66 versus 2,062, they usually look at that, but they don't count that they would have been getting 2,000 a month if they took this at 62 all the way up to age 66.
Right.
So I was like, I'd rather get that 2,000, which is at approximately 96,000, because for me to break even, if I waited to 66, 76 would have been the break even point. And I'm like, at 76, I'm not going to be needing all that much. Like Dope talked about from 66 to 70, the mint juleps. I'm like, by that, I'm not even going to be needing a lot of money. So I'd rather take the money now. And then this was the other thought too, Dope. The other thought was from some people. The other thought was a lot of people are afraid that Social Security is not going to be there in the next few years.
Right.
Right. I don't believe that. I believe it will be fun that they'll just change some of the requirements, like, raise up the amount of money that they cut off that you can take out, or raise the retirement age. But for the people who are worried that maybe it might not be there, the theory of taking it early may make better sense.
Right.
So we hope that helped you all, because we know when we talk a lot of numbers, and we're here, we definitely believe in visual and charts and graphs, as y'all know, that bring the story home a little bit more. So I'm glad you took the time to do that, though, because I had a lot of questions from people, and a lot of the people that did it, but they did it different ways, and they didn't add into the 8% increase each year. So that was great. That was excellent, great analysis, though. And I hope that helped y'all. And if you have any questions, put your questions in the comment box, and we'll try to answer them the best that we can. So with that, let's switch gears to our topic for today. Last week was retirement truths, and there was about 27 of them that we went over. I don't know if y'all counted them, but today we're talking about, are you doing better than you think? What do you think, Dope?
Well, I mean, a lot. The reason we did this, because we talk a lot about the optimum way of doing things, or the best practices in each situation. But if you look around and you see how this guy's doing this, or somebody's paying off all their student loans, people, and how the thief of joy, and it's easy to feel like you're behind financially, and everybody's situation is different. Everybody's situation is unique, and we wanted to make sure you understand that you don't have to do everything right. If Bob and I's situation, and we sit and laugh and joke about some of the dumb mistakes we've made, but we've both accomplished a lot and met or exceeded our financial goals. And that's what we want to make sure you understand, that you don't have to do everything right. You don't have to check every box. You just got to check most of them.
And we talk a lot, most of these shows, we talk about discussing the best ways to maximize your finances. But like Dope said, we didn't do everything right, and we didn't always make the right decisions. And a lot of what we did was right, but definitely not everything. However, in reality, if you can get to the point where you are doing most things right, or even just 80% of the time, you're doing pretty good. So don't beat yourself up if you're not perfect in every financial aspect of your life. The most important thing is for you to be comfortable with what you are doing and happy with what you are doing. Our goal is to put you on a path where you want to be. Remember, one of our sayings is, what you don't change, you choose. And I hope y'all understand that. If you don't change, then you're choosing the position that you're being in. And one thing about life is constantly about change. So today's show, serves as a reminder that you should be proud of your own financial accomplishments. And if doing any of these things that we're going to discuss today, give yourself a little extra love and celebrate your wins if you're doing any of these things that we're going to be talking about.
Okay, and the first one is you have an emergency fund. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be the recommended 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in case something happens, and it's you have something put aside. So when you do have that big car bill or something in your house breaks, you have some money to help you through that little emergency. And we just recommend you continue to add to it as best you can. You have some money put away for those emergencies. It can never be too big. You can never have too big of an emergency fund because things are going to happen guaranteed. So if you have a little bit put away, that's okay. Just continue to add to it, make it grow, and get it to the point where you're comfortable for anything that life may throw you.
Yeah. Next one is you aren't you aren't consistently taking money out of your savings, which is a good thing because I know a lot of people, be pillaging their savings. Like the plight of watching your savings account rise and fall. When I was younger, I was a frequent offender of throwing too much money in my savings. And what this meant was I was a deposit amount that I couldn't afford in my savings because I would only transfer it out back to my checkings 2 weeks or 1 week later because I needed it, thinking I'm, doing some great financial management, but it can be a total rush to watch your savings account grow. Don't get me wrong, but it takes a well thought out budget to determine how much you can allocate each month. So with each exception of of the purchases that you want or your needs, to use your savings for, it's a good practice if you're letting this account remain relatively untouched.
Okay, you contribute something to your savings monthly. And again, this is for people who are trying to build a retirement nest egg or who are retired and their retirement nest egg isn't big enough and they're considering to put money into it. And that's the best thing you can do. That's one of the things we always talk about is paying yourself first, putting some money away for the long haul to take advantage of compounding and to take advantage of time. So you may not be saving the amount of money you want. Maybe you want to get it up to 15% or 20%, but you're only saving 4%. That's okay. You're saving something. You're putting something away for the future. So if you are putting something away, be happy that you are and try to continue to raise it and get it to where you want it to be.
Next, you have a budget that you actually use. Notice when I say actually use, one of the things that just used to just really get under my skin where I would sit down with people and we develop a budget on paper and, they don't even use it, and they don't even use it, So this is where I'm the bearer of bad news. Having a budget is not the same as following through with your budget. I had the fancy spreadsheet with all my expenses and money goals sitting on my computer for ages. But, it wasn't any good until I actually started using it to track my spending. So if you actually spend within the means of your budget, that's good for you, but you may not be doing it as thorough as Thomas Doty, the bean counting accountant. But are but if you are, at least understand where your money is going. Okay. Now don't be tracking stuff down to the penny. And I don't expect everybody to do that. But if you do, you be in good position. It's a good habit to take. But if you don't, at least understand, where your money is and where it's coming and where it's going. And you review your spending, whether it's your checking account or review your credit card statements. It's very important that you must stay on top of your budget.
Okay. Next is you pay your bills on time. And that sounds like a given, but everybody's not able. So people live paycheck to paycheck and can't always pay those bills on time. But if you are, even if it's tight and you're just barely making it, you're improving your credit score. You're kind of getting things in shape to. It's the first step to having an effective budget. And that's a reason to pat yourself on the back if you're able to make your bills, if you're able to pay your bills every month on time.
Well, another thing that'll help you pay your bills on time is automate. You need to be automating everything you can, especially now when the year is fresh and your motivation is high. This is why, because automation allows you to make good decisions once while you are motivated and reap the rewards, even when you are not as motivated because it's automated, right? Sometimes you might be motivated to go and pay your bills, but you can automate your bills, you can automate your savings, you can automate extra debt payments, investing, etc. So pretty much any goal you have, you can automate it. Now, many companies have a digital money management tool that tracks all your money in one place. There's places that have that. Financial institutions that actually provide that tool. It allows you to quickly understand what you owe, and spend all in one place. Now, these tools that they have also provide targeted insights to help you make better decisions.
Okay, another reason to give yourself some love, if you're able to spend fun money without stressing. We always talked about how it's unrealistic to expect you to just save money and not ever enjoy yourself. And so being able to treat yourself to a nice dinner or a nice out without a second thought, that has to feel good as opposed to spending money that you know should be earmarked for a bill. And for most of us, that means sometimes you got to learn to say no and to set boundaries on what you can spend and not always just follow the crowd and do things that everybody else doing. Sometimes you have to say no so you can keep to your budget, but it's always important to be able to enjoy yourself and enjoy the fruits of all your labor and hard work.
The other thing that you probably be doing well is you actively paying off your debt. Now, for most Americans, debt is part of part of your life. It's like taxes. But don't beat yourself up for it, whether it's student loans or car payments, or credit card balance, or all the above. Managing debt can be stressful. Fortunately, there's a ton of different methods of effectively lowering your money owed. If you're actively working toward lowering your debt rather than accruing more, give yourself a pat on the back today if you're one of those people. Now, when you borrow, be it via a loan or credit card, you have to pay the interest on that money. So $5,000 credit card debt doesn't go away when you pay the $5,000 because of the interest if you haven't paying it right off, right? So you will end up paying much more than the $5,000 to get out of the debt. This is why it pays to be strategic about what debt you pay off first. And when it comes to strategy, there are two methods. One is called the avalanche approach, and another one is called a snowball. We talked about it before, but I just want to reiterate that just to refresh your memories. So one is to find out how much interest you're paying on your various debts and pay off one of the highest interest first. The idea is that you cut out the debt that is causing you to lose the most money. The higher interest, the more money you're losing. The second is the snowball approach. Pay off the smallest debt first and go from there. And this method is especially helpful if it turns out your biggest debt also has the highest interest rate. It can be very discouraging to slowly whittle down a huge debt with a high interest rate. You have a more manageable debt sitting unpaid. So sometimes it depends on everybody. No way is more better or more right. It's just what works for you.
Okay, another reason to take a bow is you don't abuse your credit cards.
Big one, though. That's a big one.
Yeah, it's so easy to do because those credit cards make you feel you have more money than you really have. You have more buying power, but you don't have more money because you're just borrowing that money. But if you can control yourself, and not go overboard, that's a beautiful thing. And it's so different to appreciate these kinds of things because most of us who come from a poor environment always looked forward to buying things. Okay, we never looked at these types of things that are just as good, not having a lot of debt or having a large savings account, having money in the bank. Those things we never ever got credit for. Nobody ever sits around and says, oh, gee, I don't have any bills, versus they like to show what they've bought. They like to show things. But it's a wonderful thing not to abuse a credit card and be paying 30% more than an object costs because you're paying 30% interest or 25% interest or 20% interest or whatever the interest rate may be. You're paying way more than the object costs by paying that interest charge. And so not doing that, not having a lot of credit card debt, that's a wonderful thing.
How about this one, Dope? You keep tabs on your money. And a lot of y'all do that. Are you checking your bank statements, keeping up to date with your credit score? One of the easiest best practices for managing money is simply keeping tabs on your financial health. They got so many tools like online banking. There's definitely a load of apps available that you can actually use, and you can see the bigger picture of your finances with a click of a button. That's why it's so good that nowadays with technologies, you're able to use these tools that are out there that can be helping you. So this can help you make a positive financial choice. And, it's also another important way that you can identify signs of fraud. So you need to keep tabs on your money at all times because the thieves are out there. And when you check your credit scores, your bank statements, your credit card statements, this is another way that you could prevent, or not just prevent, but identify and immediately identify any identity theft that happens with your money.
Okay, another thing to give yourself kudos for is that you fully understand your tolerance for risks when it comes to money. They always say there are three things that are important when it comes to investing money. It's can you deal with volatility, when you need the money, and your overall money goals. And once you can answer those three things, you're in pretty good shape. But the fact that you can understand what your risk tolerance is, you can handle dips in the market, you can handle when everybody else is panicking and making dumb decisions, you can say, I know what I'm doing, I understand this is for the long term, I understood this risk when I made this investment, and so I'm good where I am. I'm not looking at the stock market every day and panicking because the market had a correction or those kind of things. It's a good feeling to know you've made sound decisions and your decisions are going to benefit you over the long term.
Here's another good thing. You didn't buy a car you couldn't afford, or you traded your car in every few years. I had a friend that bought a new car every 3 years, and I mean, it's nice, but the cost eats through your money in your savings so fast, because housing and transportation are two of the biggest money traps that people fall for. So to avoid getting into financial trouble over a car, let's just deal with the car. Buying a reasonable car that you will keep for a useful life is important. Now, leasing a car, driving a luxury car, or trading in a car every few years is the easiest way to put yourself in an extreme, vulnerable financial position.
Okay, next you have money goals that you're working towards. I think I've told you before, a lot of people's definition of whether or not they can afford something is whether or not they can make the payment. And that is the dumbest way to look at it. And if you can afford to buy it, then you can afford it. If you can only afford to make the payment, you can't really afford it. And so if you're able to put money away for a down payment on a house, for a wedding, to move, or any major milestone that you're after, you're going to be in a better financial position than worrying about, can I make the payment? And so if you have these things you're planning on doing in the future, put some money away for those things so you have it when you need it and you don't have to go in debt to get it done.
The next one, though, you putting money, or you are putting money, let's be proactive, toward retirement and or taking advantage of the new retirement account limits. Now, we talked extensively the last week about this, but save for retirement, it can be hard, and it can feels like you're throwing money into a locked box, which you not even can't even open and touch until you're 65 years old. But smart money isn't all about thinking about long term. It's being smart about money is all about thinking long term. Retirement is definitely that. And if you're already saving toward retirement, it's worth noting that the contribution limits has increased, which we talked about last week. And you can put more money in, and you can put more money in the catch up. And if you're new to this, you need to understand that now the 401k, 403b, 457 plans, employee plans, the limit is increased from $20,500 to $22,500. And on top of that, if you're age 50 and over, you can add another 7,500. So that's $30,000 that you can actually put away now in your 401k plan. I remember when I was coming, it was, I'm trying to remember, it was 18,000. So we've come a long way. Now, this increase to the contribution limits for our IRAs, individual retirement accounts, are just slightly smaller. They went from $6,000 a year to $6,500 a year. And they have to catch up to where you can put up to $1,000 if you're 50 and over.
Okay, and next, you're investing in your future. Saving for retirement, that's one of those things that you can make your life just wonderful. And it may seem like you won't retire for years, because when you're young, you never think of yourself as getting old. You just don't. You just don't think that way. But if you look and get yourself ready and think about, you don't want to be bogged down with a lot of bills when you retire. You don't want to be worried about, will I have enough? Am I going to run out of money? Will I have to go live with my kids? And so if you're putting money away in retirement, you can envision yourself sitting back, feet up, drinking that mint julep, going to see your kids when you want to go see your grandkids, traveling when you want to travel, just doing what you want to do. And it's all because you put money away when you were young and you plan to retire and be happy.
And finally, you're in a better place now than you once were. But last but not least, if you're budgeting better than you were 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that's something to be proud of. Now, this can be especially difficult when we're living through these times of pandemic and recession. So it's even more congratulatory that you're able to, be in a better place than you were. And you need to pat yourself on the back. Even, you face financial adversity, just remember that these times too will go back will get things back on track. So achieving your own personal goals is what defines financial success. So, take your time, and smell the roses. Because I know me and Dope, we be, really hammering home about, spending, curbing your spending. We be hammering home about having financial goals and having a plan and understand your risk tolerance. And we talk that. We know it's a lot, and we don't expect everybody to do everything, but we do expect for you to be able to take some of those things and apply them to make your life a lot better. And I just want to say, though, to a lot of our listeners that I know here on personally, they have done a lot of these things. And so I want to congratulate y'all, because me and Dodie always talk about it. building wealth, creating wealth is not easy. And we know it's not. But we like to, and it's our goal, our intention to provide a pathway, provide tools, methods, and strategies to help you along the way to get there. So, hey, congratulations to all the people who are better off than you really think. So, with that, um, let's go to the takeaways and the summaries for today because we covered some good information. So here we go.
And the first one is, you're probably doing better than you think. Because again, if you listen to our show, you hear you should be doing this, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. And it's so easy to say, well, I'm not doing all of that. But you're probably doing a lot of the things we talk about. And again, you don't have to do everything. You just got to do some of it and as many as you can.
And if you have been doing these things, don't get complacent. Keep getting better. There's a saying that one of my friends overseas always used to say. He said, good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Say that 5 times, though. But it's very important. Don't get complacent, y'all. Celebrate. Take your time to smell the roses, but keep pushing ahead.
Yeah, Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. Or when you know better, you should do better. And so, ignorance is not an excuse anymore. I think Bob and I, we both account for a lot of our mistakes because we didn't know. And so like my kids could never use that as an excuse. And fortunately, they're all doing well because they know. And so that's not knowing is not an excuse. There's so many tools and information out there. Just watching our show should give you some ideas on what you should be doing. So now that you know better, you should do better.
And as we always say, seek information because the more information you have, the more chance you got to do better. So, and I want to pause again because we can't say this enough. This show is targeted to today for you to celebrate your financial accomplishments, but also help you to fine tune the things that you haven't been doing. So pat yourself on the back. Give yourself an attaboy and attagirl.
And finally, realize what you're doing well. Pat yourself on the back, as Bob says. But then think about the things that you could do better and try to make some improvements in those. Again, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to be perfect, and you can still build wealth. But the things you're doing well, continue to do them, understand why they're working. But the things you aren't doing well, try to make some improvements in them, and you'll keep moving up, you'll keep getting better, you'll keep making more money, and you'll build wealth.
And that's what it's about. That's what it's about, you all. So once again, Dope, this is a very great show. And I'm so glad, as we always do, to follow up our show. We like to give our shout out just to let you know we appreciate y'all because you could be doing a whole bunch of different things than tuning in our show, especially 96 times. And next week, though, it's 97. So I want to first start off the shout out with we haven't seen it in a while, but we want to just say hello to the wonderful Taylor Doty for all that you do up there and working in the workplace for. And by the way, that's Doty's youngest child. No.
That's my youngest. Yeah.
She's young, so I always get
baby girl.
That's right, baby girl. I want to say a shout out to my wonderful sister, Nolia Kinzer Melton, and my sister Gloria Kinzer Browner, and my sister Linda Kinzer Sy. They support me. I love y'all so much, my sisters. And without you, I wouldn't be the man I am today. Joanne Skinner, what's up, Joanne? Thank you for tuning in. And then the wonderful mother of Taylor, who actually said, thanks for the break-even analysis, was healthy. Hey, now, how you doing? Garnett, always there. And thenotexperience.com. Rodney L. Madison Sr. If you want to learn more about mortgage notes and holding a note and how you become a banker and can earn another alternative security to earn money, go out there on thenotexperience.com. And who else we got out here? Dope. We got Joe. Did I say Joanne? Hey, Joanne, how you doing? Joanne Skinner. It's always a pleasure. And Dope, even though she's late, but you may be late, but you're always on time. And Angela Grubbs is out there. Thank you, Angie.
Angie.
Thank you. So Dope, that is our show for today. Please, once again, everyone, tune in. This is like I say, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No, we're in daylight time now, aren't we?
Yeah,
we're in Eastern Daylight Time. But and once we forget though, gotta thank the people who's tuning in overseas and around the world. We have a lot of those people that sometimes I don't see come up on the pad, but we want to thank you all for tuning in too. Remember, financial information for today and tomorrow. What you know and what you do can make a difference in your life. And what you don't know can hurt you. So tune in. Thank you so much. Dope. Always a pleasure. I feel honored. My big brother is always on time. Y'all have a good evening. See you next week.